What if the people we cared for had the microphone? What if before we create another policy, schedule a medication, or make assumptions about what we think is best, we paused and simply asked, what do you want? How does this feel? What matters most to you today? In a world where caregiving often centers on doing for someone, we sometimes forget the power of simply being with and listening. This episode is an invitation to slow down and listen to the voices that often go unheard, the ones on the receiving end of care. Today, I'm sharing a conversation that is deeply personal and one that I've been wanting to have for some time. I sat down with 4 incredible residents of the Trails of Orono, an Ebenezer assisted living community and memory care. Mike is 88 and he carries stories from a rich life full of meaning. Gary, who just turned 86, brings warmth and wisdom to his words. Marie celebrated her 103rd birthday on March 27th, and Lucia is 93 and offers reflection that is both grounded and generous. These conversations are not about statistics or systems. It is bringing humanity together when we ask the questions of what does it feel like to age, to receive care, to be seen, to be missed, to be remembered. You are going to hear them share their life, what brings them joy, how they feel well cared for, and what it feels like to transition to the one receiving care. We talk about dignity, loss, autonomy, surprise, and love, and we ask the question, how can we truly care well for people if we don't know what they are thinking, feeling, and needing? And these voices are going to give us hope and insight, and they are the why and the reason that I do the work that I do. So my hope is that by listening to their stories and listening to their perspectives, we will become better listeners, better caregivers, and better humans. And before we go into our episode, I want to say thank you to our sponsors who make these episodes possible and come together. I want to say thank you to our sponsors who make these episodes possible, and we are incredibly grateful for their support. Hero Generation is making sure that caregivers get the support that they deserve. I didn't even recognize myself as a caregiver. It was just what I did for my family. Those are the words of Nicole Beckett, founder of Hero Generation. And does this sound familiar? Caregiving sneaks up on you, and before you know it, you are juggling doctor's appointments, medications, and daily care while still trying to manage your own life. And this is why Hero Generation was created, to provide real solutions, care management support, expert guidance, and a community that really gets it. So you are never alone in this journey. It's free to start, no credit card, no barriers, just the help when you need it. So we invite you to join now at herogen.co. We have gratitude for our sponsor, Zinnia TV. And as I was sharing about Zinnia, a friend had told me about their experience with a grandparent who was living with dementia and couldn't quite find the words to communicate. But when they sat down to watch an old video of a familiar place, his face lit up. It was like a window opened, even if it was just for that moment. And that is the power of beautiful picture, beautiful story, and Zinnia TV. It is designed with intention, creating beautiful, engaging videos. We invite you to use the code GATHER20 for 20% off an annual subscription at zinniatv.com. And now, here is my episode with Mike, Gary, Marie, and Lucia, the residents of the Trails of Orono, an Ebenezer community. Thank you for being with me. It means a lot to have all of you join me and for us to learn from you, to have your wisdom, to have us know how we can be better in our ways of care. So thank you so much. We're going to start with having you introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about you and what...
I'm Gary Johnson, and I've been here a little over 2 years. My wife and I were in an apartment building, and we were preparing for the next move. And I remember some people from our church had been residents here. So Kay and I came out and looked at it because of them. We both agreed this was a good facility for us. So we moved in 2 years ago, primarily because my wife was starting to have more difficulties. And it turned out that she lasted 1 year but loved every minute of it.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I miss her, of course. The facility has done exactly what it was set up to do, and it benefited both Kay and I tremendously. I would recommend it to people, and I was asked to be an ambassador so I could help people, male people, adjust to this facility. And it's been gratifying because there's so many people who benefit by it, and without this place, we don't know where we would be.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to be here, and I hope to be here for many years.
Thank you for sharing all of that. And I love the idea of an ambassador, to have people feel comfortable and welcome. And from your experience, it sounds like you were able to really share what brings people joy here and have them experience that. Yeah.
Okay, I'm Mike Donahue. I'm a retired trial lawyer. I worked 42 years in the courtroom, retired, and never looked back, though I really enjoyed what I did. I like trying cases. 2006, my world fell apart with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's, and I've been in and out of units for treatment, for care. Since that time, I ended up here when I was in another place supposedly for treatment, which I don't know that I ever got. And they were unfortunately full when I was told I really didn't have to be there. I'd be better off with something less where I'd have more freedom. That got me here. I've been here about 3 years, and I just can't believe how much I enjoy being here, which I can't say of the last place I was at. I can say of the one that I was at before that.
Good. My name is Lucia Patch Adams. I say Lucia Patch because that's my maiden name, and it's well known in this community, all over Wayzata and Long Lake. I've lived here all my life, and when my carpenter father built a beautiful house on the lake, it got passed down in the family, and that's where I come from. My youngest son has the house now. He and his wife decided to do a trip across, I don't know what, it was somewhere over foreign worlds. And because I do need help, he said, let's have you go over to Trails. And I said, no. I said, I want to stay right here. And they said, well, you can't. Yeah. So we talked it over, and I came over to visit the place here, and that was in the beginning of January. And I've enjoyed being here very much, so much the first month that I decided to stay. And so here I am with you and friends.
My name is Marie Christine Mortensen Hillblank. Mortensen was my middle name. I lived on a farm south of Shellick, Wisconsin, and I had there was three brothers and one sister, and I had a twin sister. And when we graduated from high school, my sister Marion said, let's go to Minneapolis and we can stay with my aunt. So we went there, and we got a job at Northwestern Bank, and friends, we got friends, and for entertainment, we would go at night dancing at the Calhoun Ballroom, and that is where we met our husbands.
Fun.
Both of us.
It's a fun way to meet a husband.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And when we married and moved out to Lake Minnetonka, and I bought a one-bedroom condo in Wayzata, and a friend that Mary Ann that still lives here, her daughter called me and said that it told me where Mary Ann had moved to the trails. And so her daughter brought me here to see the place, and I called my kids and I said, let's have a meeting. We're gonna move. I'm gonna move here.
Good.
So that's how I found this place.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I want to talk about what does it feel like to be on the receiving end of care, having someone care for you, and what parts are comforting for you and what parts are challenging. Was it a hard transition to go from being at home and on your own to then being a part of a community? I'd love to hear what that's like.
It was an easy move with my family's help. I was so happy not to have to cook anymore. Also, my kids didn't need to do all my shopping and cleaning for me anymore.
Yes.
It is great to have so many activities, bingo, happy hour on Friday, and monthly women's tea parties, Bible studies, Sunday movies, cards and cookies, and other events based on the time of year. All the social activities, the friendly residents and staff, and now have doctors and nursing care on hand if I need them.
Yeah. And what parts are challenging for you?
Meal substitution are the little challenging as the diet is more limited now.
Yeah. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share to have to receive care?
Vulnerability was one of the things I had the most difficult time with. You have to accept help. And from my background, I was always in charge.
Right.
I did not like help.
Right.
I knew better. One of the worst things for me in this venue was being isolated. My wife speaks for me. I can speak for myself too. And she doesn't prevent that. Being there and recognizing when I need help, when I'm not realizing it. I like that. I like the camaraderie of everyone to everyone. I've developed a very good friendship with Gary, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And this is a good place.
Part of us learning is how we can know, right? And have understanding of what people's needs are. And if you could sit down with every caregiver, whether it's your family or people here, professionals, and tell them one thing you wish they would know, what would it be?
One thing that I have thought all along being here is that each one of us should have a name tag with our name on it.
Oh, yes.
We are older people who don't remember. I don't remember your name now. And I know Marie, and I know these two. But it's very hard because you want to speak to somebody and you feel like, well, maybe I ought to pull back and just not talk to them. But that is getting to know each other better.
Yeah.
She said it well, the elderly people don't remember as well, and those of us who are fortunate to remember names can try to help, but we don't know that help is requested either.
Yeah.
But I think if everybody had the opportunity just to look at your jacket or shirt or something and see a name and you could relate to them, I agree with that 100%.
Makes it easier.
Oh, don't make it more difficult.
Right, right. Is there anything else you wish people would know?
It occurs to me when I have visitors that are staff members, too many of them aren't sure how to treat us. You know, we're human beings, we're old, but that's all. And if they would come in and start with that perspective, I think they'd be able to move forward much easier in a relationship with us. When my wife was still here, they didn't recognize her needs as quickly as I thought they should have. And when it became apparent Amanda was the head nurse, she took care of it in an instant. So once the recognition was there, it was all solved.
Yeah.
But getting people to maybe spend an extra minute or two trying to decide what is happening in this environment in apartment 219 would have been helpful probably.
Yeah, I can understand.
But at the same time, Kay and I had been married 61 years, so I knew what I needed to do. So asking for help was easy.
Good. Are there moments in your daily life where you wish you had more autonomy or say in how care is given? And what could people do differently to help you feel more heard and respected?
That's interesting because when I moved out here, I had some hearing issues which required getting drops in my ears. And so I had to have the staff put those eardrops in, and it caused me to wonder if I could do these things myself. So I tried doing the drops myself, and it turned out that I could, but the staff kept coming and doing it anyway. So finally I said, is there any reason I continue to have people coming in when I can do all of this by myself? And I don't know if they talked it over, but they decided to give me the opportunity to do it. And as of this day, I have no staff come in to provide me any care.
Wow.
So I'm totally independent, just as I requested. So they heard me, and it's been beneficial to me. I travel, I help people around here, I go on a lot of walks around the complex, all of which would have been more difficult if they thought I needed to be babysat, and I did not. So, kudos to the staff. They listened and recognized and did. So I'm glad that happened.
I'm so glad it did too, and that they heard you and respected your choice.
That's very important.
Yeah.
And my kids help me with everything, like doctor appointment, dentist appointment, or, beauty shop. And now my daughter always put drops in my ears, and the other day she couldn't do it because she's a very, she's a nurse, and she helps with the others, Jeff's family, a lot. And I said, well, maybe I can do it myself, and I did, and it was a better job, and I can hear great.
How would you define dignity at this stage in life? What makes you feel that you're very seen and valued?
People met me and are surprised about how good I am doing at the age of 103.
Oh my goodness.
And ask me, how do you do it?
Yes. How do you do it? What's the secret?
The secret is take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to take care of you.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
How did you take care of yourself to be 103?
Well,
Every afternoon.
Yeah.
what?
You had a beer every afternoon.
No. That's one thing. My mother had fourth grade education, and she's Marie. Don't ever smoke, and I've never smoked. I tried it, and it just gagged.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to do that. And I drank very little, probably a wine every once in a while, but I don't drink anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Oh, that's a good secret. It's fun to hear those tips and tricks for us. Yes. How would you define dignity at this age or at any age? What makes you feel that you're very seen and valued?
Integrity is recognized and maintained by those around me. I really was afraid of getting one of three illnesses: a stroke like my dad that put him 13 years in a nursing home, Alzheimer's, and one other I've forgotten of, but it didn't hit. I thought it would just be hell, people knowing I have dementia, and it wasn't. I had the respect of people for what I had, and that was a real relief. So am I.
Yeah, I'm so happy for that.
I think you deserve it or you wouldn't get it.
Right. Yeah. That's a good segue to the next question about many people fear aging and needing care, right, as we get older?
Yes.
What would you say to someone who is afraid of growing older and losing independence?
I was one of them. And accepting your vulnerability is something you have to do. And any way you can convince yourself to deal with it positively is just going to make your life far easier. I'd rather die than have what I have. I'd rather die and get this over with. I've been, I don't know how long that I've needed care. And my idea of God, religion, I'm hoping what everyone is saying is right. I'm trusting, if it is, that it will be good. And I look forward to dying. It's just setting its own time, not mine.
Living so long and being 103 on March 27, 2025, I guess God thinks my job isn't done.
Yeah. You're still here, and you're bringing people joy and happiness.
That's positive.
That is positive. That is positive.
And you're winning too damn much at bingo.
That's jealousy.
I bet my answer there is when you become 100, you become lucky.
There we go. There we go.
And we only have one.
What has surprised you most about this chapter of your life? What brings you joy? What do you look forward to?
Loss of mobility.
That surprised you, huh?
Yeah, well, I'm in a wheelchair now.
Yeah.
You know, I can't walk I can walk, but I can walk around my apartment with my walker, but I can't walk long distance. So I'm happy to have the wheelchair.
Yeah. It's a good support system.
Yeah, kind of philosophically, I recognize that this is the end of the road, that this kind of life that I've known, and for a good part the only life I thought existed, has brought me into real contact with who am I and what is this all about. I certainly hope that we will go someplace other than go into a limbo or a dust storm. And I never recognized that I would be so tuned in at this age into what is it all about. And I kind of look forward to, maybe I'll find out.
We're going to die and go to heaven.
Yeah.
God says that.
Yeah.
That's
I believe that.
yeah.
What is heaven? What is heaven?
It's a beautiful place. It's supposed to be very, very joyful.
That's a beautiful reflection to have. Yeah. Anyone else want to answer that question?
Almost all my life been in charge of this and that and the many, many lists of jobs that I've had over the years. And I'm also 93, going to be 94 in September. So here I am, and I don't feel like I'm old, and yet I know I am.
I don't either.
Yeah. And losing independence, I guess that was, because like I said, I've been in charge for so long with so many things.
Yeah. It's hard to have change like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard.
Thank you. Caregiving can be seen as an act of love, but it can also bring up a lot of emotions. What emotions do you feel most as a care recipient or someone that receives that care? Have you had moments of grief or loss in the transition? And how do you process those changes?
And I have a ready answer.
All right.
I can get very depressed at where I find myself. And at the same time, I can recognize what else is there. And yes, we do have a responsibility to make the best of where we're at. And that's a big order when you're kind of thinking you don't want to screw it up. It is just a very interesting issue with me, is why and what about it? Why am I here? And what am I to do with it?
Gary, I've got a question for you.
That's fine.
What is something that a caregiver has done for you, big or small, that made you feel that you were loved and cared for? What can we learn from that?
After Kay and I had been here for about a year, her transition into her dementia was becoming more severe, so Amanda ended up suggesting that we move to the memory care unit, which we did willingly. While we were there, the staff frequently visited Kay to make sure she was comfortable and cared for, helped her to go to the bathroom when necessary. And then Heather, who was the primary nurse over there, provided me with a bunch of support to help me support Kay. And she had great empathy.
Yeah.
I see her frequently, and I compliment her to this day about how she made that transition with me and my wife possible. I'm not sure if I've talked about it frequently, that if Kay and I were still in an apartment building and I was trying to do the things that she required, it would have been virtually impossible. And I'm not sure I could have come out the other side as healthy as I did this way.
Yeah.
I miss Kay every day, of course, but I know that we did the best and that this staff, particularly Heather, contributed greatly to that. So I tell people that frequently.
That's wonderful.
I had one of the caregivers help me with a shower. I cannot stand up easily. I have to have somebody with me. And when I was home, I found a niece that would help me. She's going to be a nurse someday, so she helped me, and we kind of learned it together. But that's very personal.
It's very personal.
And it's hard to stand back and say, yeah, I want it. Please help me with this.
So when someone's helping you with something like that personal, what makes it feel more caring for you?
What she's
Well,
doing for you.
the cleaning up of me is caring anyway.
Yeah.
And also the conversations that we have during the shower.
Yeah.
You're talking about the duck in my window over here. That I shot that. It was the first duck I ever shot.
Oh.
You know, things like that we talked about. And she's become a good friend. I have very strong feelings and very strong good feelings about this place. And in the 3 months that I've been here, because I came 1st of January, against my own will, just to stay for 1 month, and then I decided, well, let's see the second one, well, maybe with the third. So here I am.
Yeah.
And so, and at 93, you start thinking, how much longer do I stay? But I'm happy to be here.
I love Marina because she's our housekeeper and she cleans my apartment. She's a very, very, very caring woman.
Oh, that helps
love
to
her.
have
I
that
love her. I
experience.
love her.
Yeah, they do. They bring so much joy to each day because
Yeah.
you see them each day when they come in.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Uh-huh.
Each of you have talked a little bit about your families, right? And how they've been a part of the transition or care and support in various ways. Families can be overwhelmed by whether it's guilt or responsibility or even people here, right? We all have a lot going on, yourselves included. What would you say to someone who is feeling overwhelmed? Do you have any advice for them?
I thank God for my wife. And I feel funny saying this to you who have lost your wife. Diane is such an important part of my life in seeing to my needs and taking care of me. She's just wonderful. And I look at it and I tell her, you really got screwed.
Oh, no. I'm sure she doesn't feel that way.
She can hold her own.
There we go, yeah.
She can hold her own, plus some.
Yeah.
But I feel that. She volunteers in the nail squad.
Oh, I love it.
She
She's
is...
a sweetheart. She brought me cookies.
What?
She's a sweetheart. She brought me cookies and stuff, so. She's on my good list.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have her with what I have to deal with.
Well, like my kids, they take me to all my appointments. Dentist, doctor. The other day I went to a dentist appointment, and I have the problem of a very dry mouth. And Dr. Martinson is my dentist, and he was working, and my mouth was so dry that he had to stop and pour water in my mouth, and he gave up.
I'm done with you.
You don't need that. I said that as I come in. I said, do I need this at my age? I take good care of I brush my teeth, and floss, and I have all my teeth except the wisdom teeth and one molar. Otherwise, they're all my own teeth.
Yeah, but you're just 103.
Right. Just only. What makes a caregiver truly exceptional in your eyes? What qualities do they have? What actions do they do that stand out to you that you feel like, oh, they're so good, they're so caring? What can we learn from that?
Mostly you learn it from a smile and making you welcome when you come here. Whenever you're doing anything in a different situation, just the smile and the pat on the back and how can I help you is good. I don't know what kind of training everyone takes here, but they're nice people.
I love Mary Jessica. She can do so much for you. Thank you, And she's just a wonderful person.
And what qualities does she have that make you feel really special?
Well, she always comes with a smile. She's very caring. I love her.
The ones that most express a concern for me. There are some that do their job, but there are others that put on top of it a real felt concern for who I am and what I need.
I think once a caregiver gets to this facility, they probably have decided this is what they choose to do. And most of the caregivers that I've been visited by have empathy. If they start with empathy and build a relationship around that, pretty soon we're both on the same page. They can anticipate some of my requests. I've been extremely healthy, so I don't need some of the care that I see others get, but I do pay attention to what they seem to do as they walk the hallways. They've chosen a profession that lets them be who they are, and they share themselves with you, so it isn't just us telling them, it's them seeing our needs and asking the right questions. Without that, they wouldn't be able to do their job. And I've seen some who I think have decided that this was not what they chose to do and are ready to move on. And you can just see it in their demeanor, their lack of care, lack of empathy, being in a hurry, don't take the time it takes to see what our needs are. I was in sales and I found out that what I learned most about my customers was by asking the right questions. They aren't
Which
going to
you're very
necessarily
good
volunteer
at.
it, but they
I
ask the
find
question.
it remarkable.
I love that compliment. Yeah, you're very good at that.
What's that?
Asking the right questions.
Oh, good Lord, yes, yeah.
Asking the right questions.
And I think that we've gotten to the age and maturity that we know the questions to ask.
Right, right. Yeah. I have another question for you, Gary, because it talks about.
You're picking on me now.
I am. I have another question. But it speaks to what you were just sharing about is how can caregivers create a deeper, more meaningful connection with the people that they care for?
Again, going back to what I said as a salesman, is you need to learn to ask questions. I remember frequently I would go back to the same customer and try to get more orders, and I would start asking questions about how their son did in tennis that week. And they always looked at me like, how in the world do you remember that my son plays tennis? But it was something that I was gifted with. So people who pay attention to what the people they're dealing with are demonstrating by actions or words, if you listen and pay attention, you're able to make a connection that the people who are in a big hurry will never get a chance to ask. So empathy is big with me.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Support. Yeah.
Thank you. It's a great advice on what we can learn from.
To the extent that you can see the ones that care, and you can also see the ones who don't care. It's that simple.
But my family does a lot for me. She came over, Marilyn is a nurse, and she came over the other day, cut my toenails.
Oh, nice.
You know,
That's a big help.
cut my toenails, and she gets me my what you call it, my personal depends and all that, and pays for them. And the other day, she said her Jeff's dad. They wear depends, and the medium is too small for him, so she donated it here at the trails.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, families still play a really big role in our care.
Yeah,
Even though we live in a
family's so
community, they are still a big part of being a caregiver. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What have you learned about love, resilience, and relationships through this experience?
Take care of yourself and enjoy the new friendships at the trails.
That's a good one. Anyone else?
I couldn't live in a better place. I just couldn't.
I was married, and we divorced after 20 years. And what a relief. I married a woman again on a blind date, no less. And wham! I knew what love was. And it's hung tight for over, I had to count on my fingers, but I've been married more than 50 years between the two wives, so she's 30 years. And it's so different to know you're loved. So different. Because I knew I wasn't loved on the first marriage. And we did the best we could with what we had. And we didn't make it, but lucky we didn't. And lucky my second wife came into my life. So lucky.
Wow. Love is a gift.
Is it ever? And it's also a duty and responsibility.
It really is. What piece of advice would you love to pass down to future generations?
Take care of yourself.
Take advantage of the life you have. Don't take it for granted. Learn how you can contribute more to the relationships. We have a responsibility to be everything we can be, and if we hold back from fear or you think you might say the wrong thing, is not going to get us very far. So be adventurous, communicate, share what you know, accept what other people can share with you. Everything will be much rosier if there's a mutual admiration society going on.
do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Any other advice?
Well, I learned a lesson through my youngest son in his insistence on me coming to trails. He knew what was best for me, and I always thought, no, I know what's best for you. I'm in charge, you know. Well, here I am, and he's much happier with his wife. They had a wonderful trip. They did a lot of things together. They're gardening right now and taking care of the house that my dad built and so on. So it shows.
You let go, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. I had 3 boys. One
Lucky
passed
you.
away young, but
Lucky you.
yeah.
All right.
Gary, I just wanted to say, I can't say anything beyond what you said. You were so in tune.
That was really great. Really
What
good.
did you say?
That he said that what Gary said was spot on. If you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what would you say? Does that question speak to anyone?
Keep cool. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
When you think about your life and your life story, what do you hope that people will remember the most about you?
My life, I was very active. I never, when I retired, I had to retire at 65. I worked at Whittier Country Club for 17 years. And when I retired, or even before that, I would do bowling. I would go bowling. And then I'd go golfing. I did league golfing. I did, and then after I couldn't golf anymore, then I went ballroom dancing.
Ah, you lived a
That
full
was so
life.
enjoyable.
This is the question 19.
Here, my kids tell you, I don't feel sorry for myself when I lost my husband. I wanted to raise happy kids and know God was with me every day.
That's a good one.
He was a kind man. I was also a good trial lawyer.
That's a skill, yes. Would you like to share?
That she was a good friend.
It's an important quality to have. Gary?
I think people are going to remember me as being a positive, energetic, friendly person.
So thinking globally, or a bigger picture, how can we as a society do better in caring for and honoring older adults?
I think they should respect and honor the fact that we have spent many years becoming who we are. We made mistakes, we had some successes, but at least give them the credit for doing the best with what they had available.
Yeah, full lives, full rich and beautiful lives.
Appreciate them and their life that they have lived and what they have done for you. Give them a hug.
Accept and listen, valuing the advice you get from us old farts.
Live a good life.
Yes. Oh, so much wisdom. So much wisdom. And as I'm sitting here with all of you today, I've learned, and it is important for me to be able to share your wisdom out into the world. So I'm So grateful, and thank you for being with me. Thank you for listening today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe and give us 5 stars. In all honesty, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to our episode.